Good afternoon. My name is Schafer. I am doing a report for my terrorist group on Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Quick introduction. Al-Qaeda in Iraq, they're founded in 2003, obviously named after and followers of Osama bin Laden's terrorist organization Al-Qaeda, which is based in Afghanistan. However, this is the branch based in Iraq. They are the most notable organization in Iraq. They've been in the news constantly. They are constantly committing terrorist attacks against civilians. As I say, they are the big cause of sectarian violence in the nation, and they almost plunged the country into a civil war. It was a goal of theirs to try and topple the Iraqi government that we put in place there. And finally, another big goal of theirs was to expel coalition forces. And for my paper, the definition of terrorism that I used was the official FBI definition. It says that terrorism is the unlawful use of force or violence against person or property to intimidate or coerce a government, the civilian population, or any segment thereof in furtherance of political or social objectives. I picked this definition because Al-Qaeda in Iraq met all of these criteria. Their force, violence, of course, unlawful IEDs and whatnot. They were definitely trying to coerce the government by trying to topple them, attacking government officials and buildings, organizations. They were always attacking the civilian population and trying to incite the sectarian violence, and their political and social objectives were to try and reinstate the caliphate. Alright, quick description of the organization and their goals. As I said earlier, it was formed in 2003. It actually had roots from before that, based in Jordan. However, it formed in 2003 by Abu Musa al-Zarqawi. In 2004, actually, that was when Al-Qaeda in Iraq first made ties with global Al-Qaeda. Organization is mostly made up of Iraqis. However, they do have some foreign fighters just coming from any other country in the Islamic world, and it is a Sunni organization, so all members are Sunni. And their goals are to encourage infighting between Sunni and Shia, to try and destabilize the government, to discredit the current government, and, as I said, to reinstate the caliphate, to also impose Sharia law and take the country back to where it was about 1,000 years ago, when the caliphate still existed in its earliest form. And finally, it was, of course, the goal to expel any Western forces from the Middle East. The way that they operated, first off, I'll go through recruitment. At Al-Qaeda in Iraq's height, they included 10,000 fighters. About 3,000 of those were foreign. This is the largest number. And about 7,000 were local Iraqis. As far as foreign fighters, it's very easy for them to get into the country. They could just walk right in. There wasn't much border control. And as far as getting locals to join their organization, some of them were drawn to the cause. Some as a form of repayment for Al-Qaeda in Iraq defending their neighborhood against Shia terrorist organizations, the Sunni would be willing to fight for Al-Qaeda in Iraq. And finally, lots of times they would also coerce the populace, terrorize them into forcing some of the younger members of the populace to start fighting. And as far as their operations went, they always strove for very high-profile attacks. Like I said, attacking government officials, huge suicide bombings, killing hundreds. It's very typical, though. Usually IEDs, vehicle IEDs. Typically suicide bombings, improvised explosive devices. They would also kidnap and torture people, and they were also known for taping videos of executions, namely Nick Berg and Daniel Pearl were two of the most widely publicized ones. And a quick run through their history. They were established in 2003, became known as Al-Qaeda in Iraq in 2004. During this period, 2003 to 2005, they just committed many bombings, and they were inciting the sectarian violence. In 2003, their leader, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, was killed by an American airstrike, and the leadership floundered in the wake of that. 2007 was the American surge, and there were many operations to try and drive them from their home bases. And finally, from the 2008 to present day, there's been a real lack of leadership in the organization, and the numbers have been dwindling. Finally, the future of Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Like I said, there's a real lack of leadership now, and the future does not look good in terms of the organization. They've also been forced from their home bases in Bakuba and Mosul, and like I said, they're very small in numbers and are diminishing. Alright, that concludes my presentation.